I never thought of myself as a thief. The idea of stealing was foreign, something only desperate or immoral people did. But one day, while working late at the office, I noticed a small, forgotten envelope on my manager's desk. It was labeled petty cash. My heart pounded as I stared at it. I wasn't in financial trouble, but I was behind on bills, and a small voice inside whispered, "Who would even notice?" My hands trembled as I reached for it, just to peek inside. The envelope wasn't even sealed. Inside were crisp bills, probably for office supplies or minor expenses. I hesitated, feeling a battle between guilt and temptation. Finally, I placed the envelope back and walked away. But something had changed. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about how easy it would be. No cameras, no one around, just opportunity. And opportunity had a way of changing people. A week later, I found myself in the same situation. Another late evening, another envelope. This time, I didn't hesitate. I took a single bill. Just one. My heart raced as I slipped it into my pocket, convincing myself that it wasn't really stealing. It's just a loan. I'll put it back. But deep down, I knew better. It wasn't about the money. It was about the thrill, the power of knowing I could get away with it. The next morning, I walked into work like nothing had happened. No one noticed. The office carried on as usual. People greeting each other, printers humming, coffee brewing. The normalcy reassured me. If no one noticed one bill, would they notice another? That's how it started. A slow descent into something I swore I'd never become. Days turned into weeks, and I became bolder. I started justifying every theft. They won't miss a few dollars. The company makes millions. I deserve this after all the unpaid overtime. My morals blurred with every excuse. It wasn't about necessity anymore. It was about control, a secret world I was living in that no one knew about.
But with each stolen bill, my anxiety grew. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, certain that I had been caught. Every email from HR felt like an accusation. Every glance from my manager seemed filled with suspicion. Yet I kept going. I was in too deep to stop. One day, while I was casually taking another bill, I heard footsteps. Panic gripped me as I turned to see my coworker, Lisa, standing in the doorway. Her eyes flickered to the open cash drawer, then back to me. I forced a smile, but my hands were trembling.
Lisa didn't say anything, but her silence spoke volumes. For the first time, I saw myself through someone else's eyes, not as a struggling employee, but as a thief. I wanted to explain, to justify, to make her understand. But what could I say? That I had become addicted to stealing? That I had lost control? A few days later, an email was sent out, internal audit announcement. My stomach dropped. I felt sick. Had Lisa reported me? Were they on to me? I replayed every action in my mind, every stolen bill, every suspicious glance. That morning, I couldn't focus. My hands were clammy, my heart racing. When HR called for a company-wide meeting, I knew my time was running out. I wanted to run, to erase my mistakes. But there was no escaping this. Panic set in. The audit was real, and I knew they would find the missing money soon. My mind raced with ways to cover my tracks. Should I return the money quietly? Should I blame someone else? Should I just pretend I knew nothing? My hands trembled as I logged into my computer, looking up the company's financial records, searching for any gap I could exploit to shift suspicion elsewhere. I thought about Lisa. Had she reported me? The way she had looked at me in the office that day, was it concern or silent judgment? I felt suffocated under the weight of uncertainty. Every footstep in the hallway, every glance from a colleague, felt like an accusation. I was no longer just stealing money. I was stealing peace of mind from myself. Lisa stopped me by the coffee station the next morning. She didn't say much, but her eyes held something deeper, an unspoken understanding. "Are you okay?" she asked softly, stirring her coffee as if this were just another normal morning.
I forced a smile. "Yeah, just stressed about work."
She nodded, but I could see the hesitation in her gaze. Then, as if testing me, she casually added, "You know they're checking security footage, right?" My stomach twisted into knots. I laughed it off, but my voice cracked slightly.
Lisa sighed, setting her coffee down. "If you need to talk, I'm here. Then she walked away, leaving me with my guilt, my fear, and the undeniable truth. I was running out of time. By noon, I saw the email that made my heart stop. HR has requested a meeting with you at 2 p.m. I couldn't breathe. This was it. They knew. I tried to act normal. Hands shook as I filed paperwork. I could hear my coworkers talking, laughing, completely unaware that my world was falling apart. Every sound felt muffled. Every second stretched too long. I imagined them going through the security footage, zooming in on my hands, slipping those bills into my pocket. At 1:55 p.m., I walked toward the HR office like a prisoner heading to their sentencing. The HR manager, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor, motioned for me to sit. Next to her was my boss, arms crossed. The tension in the room was suffocating. "We've noticed some inconsistencies in petty cash records," the HR manager began, her tone neutral. "We wanted to ask you a few questions." I felt my hands grow clammy. "Oh, what kind of inconsistencies?" I played dumb, hoping to buy time. I swallowed hard. My throat felt dry. I could lie. I could deny everything, but I saw it in their faces. They already knew. I broke. The pressure, the fear, the exhaustion. I couldn't hold it in anymore. My voice wavered as I whispered, "I took it. I didn't mean to, but I did." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. My boss closed his eyes briefly, disappointment washing over his face. The HR manager nodded, jotting something down. "Why?" she asked, her tone not accusatory, just tired. HR exchanged a look with my boss. "We appreciate your honesty," she said, "but honesty doesn't erase what's been done." By the end of the meeting, the verdict was clear. I was being terminated immediately. The company wouldn't press charges, but they would document my theft, and I wouldn't get a reference. I felt hollow as I packed my things. Colleagues whispered, some staring, others avoiding eye contact entirely. Lisa stood near the door, looking heartbroken. "I'm sorry," she said softly. Walking out of that office for the last time, I realized something chilling. It wasn't just my job I had lost my integrity, and that was something I could never steal back. Days later, I sat at my tiny apartment, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back wasn't the same person who had started that job. She was broken, humiliated, but free. The weight of secrecy was gone. The addiction, the lies, the paranoia, gone. But so was my career, my trust, my future. I had to start over from nothing. The irony, the money I stole was long gone, and now I was left with something far more expensive: regret.